What's up, everybody? Welcome back to part 3 of my Illusion of Justice book review, Inside Making a Murderer and America's Broken System. This book, of course, written by Jerome, Stephen Avery's lawyer in the original trial of Teresa Halbach's murder. It is a brilliant, brilliant book. You can pick it up at bookstores, Amazon. Been told you can get it on iTunes as well. I highly suggest getting this book. This is the narrative that should be out there. It is brilliant. Not only does he talk about the Avery case, he talks about other cases as well, and it is so good. Make sure you get this book. Also, for those wondering, I like that. Also, for those wondering about the professional wrestling that pops up on this channel, for any new subscribers, I've been involved with the local wrestling scene in my area for over 20 years now. This channel was initially built on local independent wrestling from where I am, and I still do it to this day, so you will still see it pop up from time to time. Yeah, those videos aren't going anywhere. You'll still see some local indie wrestling from my neck of the woods pop up on this channel. Jerry Buting states that almost every piece of what looked like damning evidence against Stephen Avery was riddled with flaws. Jerry Buting talks about how every single piece of significant evidence found in the case against Stephen Avery was found by Manitowoc County Sheriff Office investigators, none of which were supposed to be even on the scene. And even though they found most of the evidence, they hardly filed any paperwork. All the paperwork was filed by Columulet County or the DCI. Jerry Buting talks about how 3 weeks before Teresa Halbach's disappearance, Stephen Avery's civil lawyers questioned Andrew Colburn and James Lenk about a phone call received in 1994 or 1995. I love how they don't even know the year, like it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday. No, this was an entire year of someone else's life in prison for something they didn't do. The call was about how they had the wrong man in jail for the rape charge from 1985. Andrew Colburn made no effort to investigate the call or the information received. It was only on the day Avery was released in 2003 that Andrew Colburn consulted with his superior, James Lenk, and only then did Andrew Colburn and James Lenk write a short report about the call, and then it was sealed in the sheriff's office. No, they definitely weren't allegedly trying to hide something. No, that's gotta be normal practice, right? Woo! It was reasons like that why Manitowoc employees were not supposed to be searching on Avery's property. But they did anyway. Remember, it was Andrew Colburn and James Lenk that found the key after Stephen Avery's trailer was already searched 6 times. Remember, it was James Lenk that shook the bookcase and the key popped out on the floor after it was searched 6 times. And Andrew Colburn was recorded calling from his personal cell phone to confirm the license plate number of Teresa Halbach's RAV4, 48 hours before anyone reported its location at the Avery salvage yard. And interestingly enough, the plates weren't even on the RAV4 when it was found. They were found crumpled up in the rear of a junked vehicle closer to Stephen Avery's residence. However, both James Lenk and Andrew Colburn were wandering around Stephen Avery's salvage yard around the vehicles the day before. In the report that Andrew Colburn filed about that, he did not mention that he had called the plates in 48 hours before. Talks about how Pamela Strum finding the RAV4 in a 44-acre lot in mere minutes is the same as finding a needle in a haystack in a 44-acre lot. Just not likely. Jerry Buting talks about how Stephen Avery was in custody for 16 months before the trial and had every single conversation he had recorded. And if he was guilty, this would have given him plenty of time to slip up one time, let something slip, something incriminating, anything. He never did. All we learned was that he was wanting to get out, and what he stated from the beginning, that authorities were out to get him and going to frame him. And it is completely understandable why he would think that, because of what happened the first time. And the second time, allegedly, Jerry Buting talks about how none of Stephen Avery's fingerprints were found on the RAV4. Remember, Stephen Avery had a cut on his finger. His blood was found inside the RAV4. So that means he wasn't wearing gloves. So that means his fingerprints would have been all over the place. And if he cleaned off his fingerprints, why didn't he clean off the blood? Doesn't make any sense. There is zero possibility Stephen Avery was inside this RAV4 bleeding and none of his fingerprints were there. It makes absolutely zero sense. There is a clip, someone actually tweeted it to me yesterday, of Ken Kratz talking about why Stephen Avery's fingerprints weren't found in the RAV4. He's like, I don't know. Go to my Twitter. It's on there, @NewScott. Very funny clip. Talks about how something not seen on Making a Murderer was his first trip to the courthouse. Talks about how Stephen Avery's case files from the previous case, the original case, were just stored in an open box. Not sealed, not even closed. And in the bottom of that box was a white box, which they later found out contained a vial of Stephen Avery's blood. This box was easily accessible and not secured at all. He talks about EDTA. Talks about how he could not find anyone that could do the tests to find out if EDTA was in that old blood vial or if it could be found in the flakes of blood. Remember, this is the initial discovery, the initial search, the initial finding of this blood vial, and this is what he was thinking of this time. Talks about how James Link was involved in transporting evidence in Stephen Avery's case during the wrongful conviction appeal. You know, this box that was found with Stephen Avery's blood in it. Also the same guy that found the RAV4 key after 6 searches. Also the same guy that wasn't supposed to be searching on the property at all. Something fishy going on here. If he was guilty, the evidence would have pointed that way. It wouldn't have had to have been manufactured and planted, allegedly. I don't know. It's crazy. My Netflix law school degree only helps me so much. But I'm going to end part 3 right there. Make sure you pick up this book. Like I said, he talks about so much more than the Avery case. It's such a good read. Absolutely brilliant. Pick it up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Truly appreciate it. And I'll see you again soon.